I didn't cash, man. Did you cash on the Derby?
Yeah, I crushed the Derby.
I like hearing that. What'd
Yeah,
you hit?
lost every other race, but hammered the exacta.
Oh, I love hearing that. I I'm gonna tell you why I didn't bet Golden Tempo in the end, but tell me about your score. What was it like? What did you end up doing? How did you land on? Because you know me, I was all about the long shots, and so forth. But what was your key to betting on Golden Tempo?
So all week, all 2 weeks, our group chat was breaking down the pace, and everything told us it was going to be a hot pace. So I had pitched to the boys in the group chat. I said, I don't know why we don't just go after the super and just toss all the front runners and hope for a collapse and hammer the super. And they said, okay. And I said, well, Golden Tempo is my favorite closer. Watched all of his races. At the fairgrounds, he kind of dove towards the rail, but the horse always is coming late. And so we threw around the idea a little bit and we kind of let that go to the wind. But as I'm there all week and I'm hanging out with Cherie a lot on the backside, the horse was doing really well, looked great. And the more I just looked at the setup, it was setting up for Cherie. So now, if you
Wait, hold on,
know,
hold on. We need to go back like 5 seconds because I had to switch the Starlink. So tell me what you were talking about tossing the favorites or the front runners because you thought it was just going to be a meltdown. Then what?
and I'm looking at the closers, and we're in our group chat talking about, all right, who does this set up for? And we broke out the Optum, chart, which makes you go dizzy with the squares and circles. And we said, nope, we can't use that. It's too complicated. And I just said the best closer in my eyes through all the preps was Golden Tempo. The horse is always coming late. Fairgrounds kind of dove to the rail, but the horse is going to be flying. And a couple of them said Renegade, and I said, okay, but Renegade's going to have a tough post, but he's definitely a use in there. And then so I spent the entire week on the backside. Every morning, 4:30, I'm there with Sweeze, and I see Cherie every morning. And if you know the story with Cherie and Chad, there's no love lost between the two of them. And I'm just sitting there Derby Day thinking, all right, Chad just won the Oaks. It would be so fitting if Cherie stole his thunder, less than 24 hours later, and won it with that horse. So I used. I played win play show, which I know you hate me for that, but I threw 30 or 40 bucks across the board, and I had, I think, like a $42 exacta box, 119. And the funny part is, even on my express bets, you could see I have the exactas with Irad and Jose. I have the win play show on Cherie. And then below it, I have 10 across the board on Oselli because Oselli was my big horse at the Wood for the same reason, pace collapse. You knew it was going to fall apart, and Oselli's going to be coming flying late. And Oselli broke my heart in the Wood, so I said, I'm just going to throw something on Oselli, but I didn't play the try, and I didn't play the super. And if I did, I would have had it because you know what happens during the course of the day and the weekend, all the scratches, it like messes with your head, and you're there drinking bourbon and you're having fun. And I couldn't compartmentalize the pace scratches as they were happening. And in my head, if I did, I have the try and I have the super because Chief was going to be coming. Oselli was my mad bomber. And further ado is my first toss in the Derby, first toss. Um, it made sense, but at least I hammered the exacta. I had the Oaks Derby double a number of times, so I got lucky there. But I literally lost every single race on Saturday before the Derby. I got my butt kicked. Besides To, the Japanese horse, who my buddy Cope was all over last week, all over. He's like, Shu, here's the replay on YouTube. Go watch this. And once you watch that replay over in Japan, you're like, wow, this horse could be something special and you're going to get value. That's a good play. So I had pick threes into him that played nothing. I bet him across the board, which paid nothing. And I'll let you kind of dive into that because that's, you can kind of share your opinion on what the CAWs did or didn't do to that horse in the race. But I mean, it was a great time. Derby week is unbelievable. But we were literally at the barn from 4:30 in the morning. We'd get back at, I don't know, 8:30, get a bagel on the way home, go take a nap for 2 or 3 hours, wake up, and then show up by like race 3 or 4, whatever day it was. But it was awesome. It was a good time.
Yeah, I know. I was surprised I didn't see you. I didn't have as much time as I would have liked, but I didn't get to go over there in the morning. Did you hear any like rumors, or what was the backside? What were people talking about on that side?
The backside on Thursday was the best. So Thursday morning was incredible. I mean, there was just a buzz. Like, all the Derby horses were out, all the Oaks horses were out. I mean, it was awesome. Friday and Saturday, it was just nervous energy. It was just like, let's get in the starting gate because we don't want anything to go wrong. So those days it got real quiet, but Thursday was awesome. And just walking around and running into a bunch of trainers and horsemen and just horse people who were, giving me their opinions on who looked good and who didn't look good. And sometimes you take it with a grain of salt. But we had heard, I got buzz early Saturday that Puma was going to be scratched. And I had to confirm it because I didn't want to throw it out there. But, you talk to other folks on the backside and, it's rumor, so it's not like nothing's etched in stone here. But it sounds like that horse was sick all week. It sounds like that scratch was no surprise to anyone, which pissed me off because I had a big double with Chad's filly into the Puma because I really like the Puma. I thought the Puma was going to be a huge threat, but the horse has been sick all week, per reports, per buzz. The other buzz was Commandment looked bad. Everyone said don't use Commandment, and he actually ran pretty good. But Commandment, according to some people, wasn't moving great, didn't look like the same horse, so people were kind of off the Commandment trail. Japan looked great. Japan looked fantastic. Down in Bourbon looked like $1 million. And I went by the Japanese barn a few mornings in a row. All their horses looked great. Down in Bourbon looked unbelievable. Unreal. He was a huge use for me. I played him in a lot of stuff. And at the top of the stretch, as me and Kent are watching from the turn there, I was like, Japan's gonna win, and he's home, and then all of a sudden it's like, no way.
Yeah, man, that's I'm trying to think of how to where to start. I want to counter your backside journey to my, I guess, front side over with the trainer derby dinner thing on Tuesday. And I was over there for a few, maybe like an hour. And I happened to run into the 6-speed crew. And
yeah,
you know those guys? Have you met them?
Yeah, Jake and Reagan, great guys.
Yeah, they were pretty cool. So I had asked the trainer on his way out a few things about the horse, and I was going to use the horse regardless, just because I was.
You really used him?
Yeah.
You bet 6-speed? You're sick. How?
I mean,
I love Reagan. I love Reagan to death. Reagan, if you're watching, I love you. Jake, I love you. That horse
are you
had
ready?
No chance.
Are you ready for the reveal?
Yeah, go.
Okay, set your chopsticks down. There's this thing called.
I got Marina's ice. I got a sore throat. What long shot?
I'm not ready to go back to the headband yet, but I think you saw my video that I made about under no circumstance anybody should bet a horse under 21 this year in the Derby, right?
Yeah, and you were dead wrong about Renegade. Renegade was the best horse by a mile, right? I mean, let's be honest. I'm glad he lost.
Okay. Big guy.
Renegade's gonna be 4 to 5 in the Belmont.
Big guy hits the exacta.
Everyone's gonna bet Renegade.
Wait, so you hit the exacta, and now you
Yeah.
think you can see into the future into the Belmont just like that?
I'm just telling you the odds. I'm just telling you Renegade's going to be 4-5.
You're not necessarily wrong that he'll be a one of the two favorites, but
Mhm.
that doesn't. We got a long way to go. He's still got to get there.
Well, he's going to sit back at Saratoga and look great training, and whatever foot issue he has is going to hopefully get better. And after that trip, everyone's going to remind people how he got bumped on the rail and what a terrible trip it was, and how he probably should have won.
I hate
Todd did
that.
a great job with that horse. And with that said, Rapoli came out looking like roses because he was great in defeat. Mike was, give him credit. Mike Rapoli was absolutely incredible in defeat, and the horse ran huge. Mike didn't complain about the one hole all week. He took it like a man. Um, he lost like these.
It's almost like he's used to that, right?
Yeah, but Mike is pretty outspoken, so I thought this was like a big step forward for him. I think Mike came out smelling like roses. He really did. Mike was great. Great.
You notice how he was kind of quiet going into it, which I thought was
Yeah.
a good way to play it,
Yeah.
because you don't want to jinx it. But couple things. So I'd like to talk about the Derby odds, number one, if you don't
Right.
mind.
Mhm.
I'd also like to talk about why I played the long shots I played, and why Renegade is not necessarily the best horse in the race or whatever. So I have a few kind of takes on this Derby. The first one is, on a scale of the last 20 Derbies, do you think it's 18th, 19th worst, or where would you rank it in the last history of the Derbies in terms of, like, well, they'll give it a low buyer anyway, but in terms of just raw performance,
I thought it was incredible.
time wise?
Forget the time. Times are, you even say it. It's so hard to use times with racehorses, and it's the first time they're all going this far. The pace was hot enough, and I disagree with you. I think this might be a really good group of 3-year-olds. I think Dan and Bourbon was probably the best horse on Saturday. I thought Dan and Bourbon ran just incredible, absolutely incredible to sit on that hot pace and last as long as he did. I thought the Japanese horse was incredible. So that horse is going to be a freak moving forward. I think well, here, I'll put it this way. The depth of the group isn't probably as deep as some other years, but I think the top end of this group is pretty darn good, man. I don't know. I mean, I think Renegade was a ridiculous effort by Renegade. No?
I mean, I mean, there's Barbaro and there's Rich Strike, and I mean, I could put him above those two, but I don't think. I mean, I don't think I could put the horse above the other, like, 17 most recent Derbies. So, but I'm also kind of a bit, you know, like, mean, I guess, when it comes to.
Well, give me some of the, over the last 10, 15 years, who are some of the Derby performances that you said, wow, look at that?
I mean, well,
Barbaro.
so you're
Barbaro was
talking. So
incredible.
there's visual, and then there's, like, time, right?
All right.
So I think you have to kind of look at it both. There's, like, a couple axes. I can't recall all the times of the horses, but I mean, if I bring up just the last few Derbies here, like, I'm talking about the winner. But I'm just,
Mhm.
and if you think Renegade should have won it, whatever. But Sovereignty is better. Mystic Dan is probably better, even though he had the perfect ride in the Derby. Mage, I could maybe, we'll see.
He's there. Yeah.
Maximum Security, I think, was better. Authentic was better. Medina Spirit was better.
Authentic. Stop. Now you're getting crazy. Now you're getting wacky on me. Medina
Who
Spirit and Authentic? Stop.
didn't Authentic win the Breeders' Cup Classic? Didn't that
Stop.
happen? Wait, I can't
No
remember.
comment.
I think he
No
did.
comment. No
I didn't like
comment.
him. I didn't like him that race, but I mean, just, it goes on. Justify, Always Dreaming, Nyquist, American Pharaoh, Chrome. I mean, okay, but it's just garbage. All have another. Animal Kingdom, Super Saver, mind that bird. Okay, maybe. But like I said, it's at the bottom 20. It's in the bottom 20% of the Kentucky Derbies, in my opinion. So I just think it was beautiful. I'm so happy for the connection. So happy for the way it unfolded. So happy that you know um, when I'm and I want to go through the probabilities. I don't like to say things out loud about anything, but when to me the group is below par, and to me there was a little bit of a gap between Renegade and the rest, but when I'm going to go out and say don't bet a horse under 20 to 1, this is it, and to see something come in, it feels good. But I think it was validated by the buyer, and that's why I wanted to ask you like your impression of this group, because if the buyer's that slow, and I know you were kind of knocking on buyers.
These buyer speed figures. I mean, you're talking about a number here that Andy Beyer has sold out to everyone under them. That number has become so illegitimate in this industry, it's not even funny. You're going to tell me that Emerging Market on his debut ran better than the horses yesterday? On debut, a horse in a
See
maiden
that.
special weight runs a what? What do you give him? A 97. You see all these Baffert runners on debut run 99 buyers. You're going to tell me that that's better than what Golden Tempo or Renegade did yesterday? To me, you lose all credibility there, all of it.
Okay, so if you had to do your best as an analyst to compare a horse on a day, at a track, at a distance, at a time, with the class and the fulcrum of the race, and give it a final time that's relative to other horses at other tracks across the country, um, the question is, to me, not is it a 96, is it an 85, is it an 89? It's more about the differential and the delta between that race, that horse, that day, and also the circumstances versus another horse that day. Like, so for instance, um, Golden Tempo earns what was it, an 80 something, 90 something, 90,
No,
95,
I think a 94.
95.
What did they
Yeah,
get? 90, 95 or something.
95. So you were correct in predicting the pace outcome. So when I went to the Derby trainer dinner, I talked to the gentleman who was the trainer, and I was sharp guy, like ultra pure
Yeah, he's a
class,
great guy.
just awesome. And I were talking. I'm like, yeah, this horse has got some lick, and he's like, yeah, and he can sit. He doesn't have to go to the lead. I'm like, he's like, yeah, like I've watched him, and so my impression was this horse is probably going to go to the front. But the trainer told me not that it wasn't gonna change my mind if he was in first or second or third. I thought I was gonna get like 50 or 60 to 1, and I'll come back to why I bet him in the tournament. But like when you're gonna get a horse in that race when Baffert said he wasn't gonna go. Do I believe him? Probably not, but he didn't go. And they did those first two fractions were too much. You were right about that, so I give you credit. But when a horse earns a buyer and wins that race the way it did, it was a total freaking setup. So both the winners. I mean, look at the horse that came in third. I mean, although you got to love that visual on the crew at the finish line. Like
They're awesome. And
that's
Witt is such a cool guy. I like Witt a lot.
so
He's
cool.
done amazing stuff with that. That horse just always tries. I love that horse.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool to see passion, right? Racing finally got
Hmm.
a shot of passion in the arm. So good. Obviously, the country, you know, cares to see this kind of a score. Everyone loves a comeback story.
Yeah.
Everyone loves a long shot. So I just wanted to say that you get a number, right? You talked about smacking on the buyers. I mean, whether you're going to use any number, they're all subjective. And yes, you can get them 80% right or 90% right. But even if you get that number, look at Further Ado. Everyone was all
But
over
this
the
is a number that they put in DRF for the entire general public to pick up on the stand as they walk into their racetracks. And it is such a deceiving number for the poor folks that handicap. I'm looking at Knightsbridge in the Gulfstream Park Mile when he ran against nobody, ran a 112. A 112 buyer. It's absurd. The numbers that you pick up in these, it's like
But
you're just
hold
deceiving
on.
people.
Just like relax a second. So Nightbridge, and we'll come back to him. By the way, I bet against him in the tournament hard, and I still lost. horses can't run the same numbers every time. Just like NBA players can shoot 50% from three, they'll shoot 40% from three. They'll have moments where they're just on fire, and Steph Curry can hit everything from anywhere. And then there's times where, I'm not saying they go ice cold. I'm saying there's clearly drop offs, and sometimes it's the travel time, sometimes it's the arena, sometimes it's the team, it's the defender. I'm just saying, like, it's not apples to apples. So even if you had numbers that, like, if you want to, so you want to challenge the integrity behind so first of all, there's error inherent to any number, right? Any kind of decision based on the number of routes and the sprints and the variant, all that stuff. And sometimes the track changes and they'll water it and they'll do stuff. And I'm not an expert at understanding variance. I mean, I do my own stuff and make my own numbers, but I will say I don't trust anybody. I don't trust any of them. I don't look at numbers and go, oh my God, this is a 2 or a 3 and this is an 85. And so now I'm going to, it's a representation. That's all it is. So if Emerging Market ran a fast race in the horse's debut, and I think Chad said the horse had some issues too, right? So to me, I think the best way to score this kind of stuff is to look at how you can look at the next number that you think they're going to run. So if Knightsbridge comes back towards the end of the year, right? Buyer's not going to care. Moss isn't going to care if they come back and put low numbers down. Because they're going to be objective, I believe. And then you can say, okay, those earlier numbers are hokey. But like, to me, you have to look at a large sample size, and you have to also factor in that hopefully there's not, soreness or issues that came up with the horse or changes in distance. And so if you wanted to compare it, I think, Shu, like, you're best off looking at the numbers when they're older horses, not 3-year-olds, and then trying to see at the same track, kind of at the same distances when things are going good. And then you'll see, but again, it's about the differential. If Emerging Market ran in the 90s, his first start, and then ran slower the next time, right? You could see that the horse might go from a good race to a great race, or a good race to a better, better than good race. This is the game, dude. Don't hate the player, hate the game.
I just hate that we use them in the most handed out piece of literature at every racetrack is your daily racing form, and the number is just terrible. I'm looking at litmus test. Litmus test in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile ran 4th. You're talking about 2-year-olds going a mile and a 16th. He ran 4th and lost by a length and 3/4 and got a 95 buyer. And now we're going to say that Golden Tempo got the same buyer in the Kentucky Derby. What are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing? How do you not question everything in there?
Yes.
That makes no sense.
Yes. Okay. Now I feel you. There is a very difficult decision to make when you're in that business, and your job is to try and be consistent, to create a representation based on the data you have. The previous horses, those are young horses, by the way. Those are 2-year-olds. Yeah. I did not like that juvenile. So I really believe it was slower than that. So that's based on my stuff. But I can understand when you look at the races that day and the variant, and again, limited amount of races, young horses you're comparing. So think of it this way: if a race runs really fast, and another race is really fast on the same day, and they're 2-year-olds, and it's fast, let's say 5 lengths above par or something like that, is it that the track is actually 5 lengths fast and they're both average, or is it that they're both mediocre, or they're both really fast?
Listen, I'm not saying it's easy. I could never do it. So I mean, I put that up front. I could never create my own number. But again, when the betting public is looking at these figures and they're putting their bets together, and listen, well, let's talk about So Happy. So Happy took just a crazy amount of money. I think a piece of that was probably the NBC special, because people, millions, 20 million, are watching it at home, and they may say, oh, I love that story, I'm going to throw $20 to win. And that adds up, right? So I think there's a piece of that. I think there's a feel good. It's almost like the Jack horses in the derbies always get overbet because there's a ton of guys named Jack, and they always bet him. That happens.
No, dude.
Yeah, that happens.
The money on that horse was in on Friday and early Saturday before any of that aired. So I
So
don't
why do
think
you
that's
why do you think he was the favorite?
he wasn't the favorite. He was one of the top four, but
He was the
he
co-favorite. All right.
he like watch you see the passion in my video. I had no idea. They're all below average this year. This is one of the worst crops I've ever seen. So when it's this bad, I'm going to demand price. That doesn't mean I'm going to be right. Like when I did the probabilities on the Derby, and I'll tell you why I didn't bet Golden Tempo in the tournament. I had Golden Tempo at 5%, and he was my third best
Okay.
long shot.
Okay.
So if I'm getting 23-1 on a horse that I think should be 20-1, I support him. I'm never going to touch anyone else because I put 10% on Renegade, probably 9 or 8% on Commandment, 9 or 8% on Further Ado. So I was cutting horses' probabilities in half, and I still couldn't extract the value except on Pavlonian and Six Speed, just as a flyer. So it was really one of those things. And I thought Renegade would come second because he was a little bit better than everyone, and I knew the post might hurt him a little too. And yeah, he got screwed at the front, but he wasn't going to, I don't know. Well, you're going to find out in your Belmont if he's that good of a horse. I just think this crop is mediocre. I'm not impressed yet. Maybe I'm wrong. We'll find out in, the next few months, but I'm talking in the Preakness and in the Derby. So Golden Tempo could win the Preakness by 5 or 10 lengths. It doesn't mean he's a good horse or he's above par. He's a good horse, but he may not be above par because if no one's going in there, it's like Renegade's win. He beat nothing. So
Yeah.
like
No,
I want to encourage you. Like, so you hit a great score. I don't want to take anything away from that. I was a little too picky, but I stand by what I did. And I was wrong about the pace. I thought it was going to be okay. And I'll say another thing, and this may sound off. Like this could be completely off. Yes, the third place horse was a horse I would never have in my entire life. Maybe the pace was hot. To you, it's hot. What if I said the pace is, slightly, it's warm. It's warm. We're going to find out in the next couple of races, but I'm just at this point right now that where I don't see anything that's moving my soul.
you know what you're saying is the past however many derbies. I don't care if the pace is red hot or warm or on cue. Horses they don't keep going like they used to.
Right.
And I'm not going to link that to anything. You take that for what it's worth. These horses are going a mile and a quarter, trying to go 46-3 or whatever the half was. It's not in them to do that like it used to be.
I mean, first of all,
Let's be real. Let's be real. Let's
Okay,
just call it how it is. Horses don't win on the front end of the Derby anymore.
Well, they haven't won in like Authentic was the only one that really did that recently. So it's not easy. But I went through 50 years.
I didn't say anything.
I didn't
say anything. You said it, not me.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and say that.
How did Bob's two horses do, by the way? Can we point that out for the folks watching? How did Bob's two Derby horses do? He had one winner all week. I hate to see it, Bob. I hate it. Let me say this. Yeah. I'm on the backside every morning. Wayne Catalano's laughing at me. He goes, man, you're like a trainer. You're out here earlier than me, blah, blah, blah. You watch these people work their asses off. Listen, I've taken shots at Brad Cox before. Brad Cox is walking horses left and right. He's going back and forth to the track. There's not a second where Brad Cox wasn't just standing there. I mean, he was always moving around. Cherie back and forth. Bill Mott on the pony. Asmussen on the pony. These people are just working their fucking asses off. And guess who's sitting in the chute, drinking his coffee, just talking to people? Every day I was there. Bob Baffert. Just drinking his coffee, chatting with the rich people. All the other horsemen, back and forth. Mott, back and forth. Steve, back and forth. Kent with his horses, with his cheap horses, back and forth. Brad Cox, nonstop. Cherie, nonstop. There's Bob at the Gap, just drinking his coffee every single morning. Not enough of Bob. He sucks. He had a terrible week, and I love to see it. And his Derby runners ran like dog shit.
Well, I mean, what if I told you his odds over in Europe for litmus tests were 140 to 1 to win that with that horse in the
Were
Derby.
they really?
Mhm.
Give me a taste, and people watching. What was the money like? Was there anything that you saw that was Renegade heavily bet overseas? What was there anything that stuck out to you, like someone that was getting a little bit more money than you thought, or totally less money?
I mean, I think the interesting things about looking at money flow, you have like I have a certain line for a horse. And I know from 20 years of doing this full time, I know how where I'm weak in certain races where I'm not there's a lot of variance, and there's certain races where I'm tight. And the Derby's not it's not good for me. So I know that there's a lot of leeway you have to give. That said, if you see something that's abnormal and you see a horse get slammed, then you have to ask yourself, is that smart money or dumb money? And I didn't look at what was happening with that Japanese horse. And
Yeah, was he hammered? Yeah, did you see or no?
no, I didn't see on that race, but and we should talk about that in a sec. But before we do that, yeah, I think the takeaways were nobody knew. Just like I felt good because I was in the KDBC and I had blown through. I don't know. I had $800 left, so I blew through over $2,500. And you
All
know what
right.
I did is I bet heavily against Knightsbridge because I thought that horse was going to lose. I couldn't
Okay.
get the Japanese horse though. I was off. But there's certain situations where you have to take stands against favorites. Nobody in Europe thought that horse was going to lose, but the goal is to find inconsistencies in the betting that can help you or hurt you. So help you in that if you see a horse that's getting bet that you don't like and you know is not good, then that can help you. Then you can say, oh, these people are wrong, and they're using some data thing that like a buyer or a speed figure or something. They're like, oh, they're all over this. So you can go contrarian against that, but you have to understand the logic of why they're getting bet, and then it can hurt you because you can like a price. And
Yeah.
it's funny. I looked at the prices for all because I really liked 3, 4. I'll say, you know, uh, um, litmus test and 6 speed, Pavlonian, and Golden Tempo, right? So those are the 4 that I was looking at. But my problem in the tournament, did you even look at the tournament? You see that Ed Dickey won it with an amazing slam in the last race?
I didn't. I saw what's my buddy? Oh God. He was alive because he hammered Baffert crude velocity. And then he had somebody else. And so I saw him before the Derby, and he was real nervous, and he was going to make a big play. And I don't even know what he ended up doing. But no, because I was there and there was so much going on, I really didn't get to focus too much on the tournament. But what was the winning play late?
Well, it sounds like it was a good friend of yours if you can't remember his name. So
I can't remember my name right now. I flew in last night. I
yeah,
still got my bracelets on. My Sky took 2 of them. Jetty took 1. I got all my bracelets.
yeah. Well, you can use them next year. But yeah, the whole thing is, um, so I when I play tournaments, as you know, I'm trying to win maybe up to 50% to 80% more than other players. So I'm structuring tickets to be higher probability, but also higher value. In the Derby, though, I knew that I was going to be betting, 40, 50, 60 to 1. Like I knew that. So I didn't want to save a ton of money for that race. But what I ended up doing is I ended up playing exactas with both 6 speed and Pavlonian on top of the 3 favorites. I did think Renegade was much better, but I kid you not, dude. I stared down the barrel of that Golden Tempo on top of Renegade Exacta, and the problem is it was only paying $125, and I looked at it, I'm like, I think it should pay $125, maybe somewhere around there. I'm like, there's no value, and I looked at it and I'm like, I'd rather have more scrubs in second with my two other, because Pavlonian was 50-1. So I'm like 50-1 versus 23-1. I'll take that every time. But it was cool to see that horse win, but I had no value in that, right? So I couldn't, if I have Golden Tempo at 5%, when you break down the math, if we went through, if you put even Renegade at 10%, Further Ado 10%, Chief Walby at 10%, Commandment 10%, and you start breaking it down, and that's, most people would laugh at me and say, how could you give that horse 10%? If you start doing that, even if you give 1% to Intrepido or whatever, you start narrowing it down, it's hard to get above 5%. You might get to 7% on Golden Tempo.
Right.
But like, so to me, Ed Dickey slammed the win bet. He kept his whole money. He bet two horses on two long shots in that race, and he crushed it. And he won the whole thing for, I don't know, probably almost 200K. But I just want bettors to understand discipline here and think about this, because even someone who's willing to play long shots like me, who doesn't normally bet, I don't think I bet a 41 or 51 in the Derby, like maybe less than 2 or 3 times, but I was so handcuffed because I thought everyone was average. I had no angles, nothing, zero. To me, that was all below par. And so when I'm in a tournament, I was trying to win it earlier and then to see if I could just give a little nudge to some horses. But like, this is the game that I was trying to encourage you to think about when you're betting on, and you hit it. You deserve your money, no question. But I encourage you to put like odds lines on these horses, so that like you said, like don't bet Further Ado, don't bet Commandment, even if he's like maybe not perfect.
No, I get what you're saying, and the Derby, like we've talked about, is a whole different animal. I mean, the Derby is just a different animal than 98% of the races will bet on all year long, because it's just pure chaos. So you have to demand value. I got lucky with the pace, and it fell the right way. But yeah, I mean, the Derby is just a whole different animal, and superior minds and superior cappers can come up with it. So you'll get there, Christian. One day I'll teach. The more we do this, I'll rub off on you, and you'll be like, man, how did Shu have Golden Tempo?
How many times did I hit you up at the Derby, man, trying to get to the backside, trying to get your picks, trying to figure out what was in your head?
I was up at 4 a.m. every day at the barn, and then napping until 3 o'clock. And listen, I tried to catch up with you at the track, but you were up in the bougie suites with all the rich folk and all the celebrities.
I was hosting a good friend of mine, man. I wasn't bougie.
I was down there with the poor people, betting my whatever. And you're up there, with your big bankroll in the contest. Now, was it fun though? Where were you guys? Were all the contest players in the same spot or no?
No, dude, they didn't even give you entrance into the track.
Oh, really? Oh, I thought there was like a contest room.
No, they change it up.
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
They do a great job with their contests, but they don't have.
They don't do a BCBC type thing.
I don't know why they wouldn't want a lot of the big players to be in the same place and to be able to celebrate and kind of duke it out and all that. But I mean, this is the cash cow. This is what defines the EBITDA for the company. So it's like they have to like do what they got to do to make their shareholders happy. But I mean, I do think it was a little disappointing that when I got there, that I was like, where can I go to? Oh, there's nothing available, nothing. We can't do anything. So it's fine. I just think that in this day and age, if you're going to be betting 10 grand, but it's not that much money to them though, right? It's like 20%, cut it in half. They get $1,000 out of each player in the tournament. So I understand.
There's so much money there. It's crazy.
But principle, like I think the horse player is always kind of like forgotten, which is why I want to do this and I want to talk, from the eyes of the horse players, get us together, get this revolution going, to get, one of the things that's really important to me, as you know, is communication and the way we talk about horse racing. And so like every time I talk about a horse, like I'm going to put an odds lines to it. That's really the thing that I think everyone needs to learn, so that you have discipline. Now, my discipline screwed me. I was like, okay, I'm going to not take a 23-1 shot. I'm going to take 2 price horses, whatever. But that's okay, because I'm happy with the decisions I made, because in the long run, I feel like in a tournament, I'll come out, winning more than not. But anyway, sure. Like closing the Derby, it was special. It was not, I think, a fast Derby. I don't think that anyone's going to come out of this thing and, be talked about in the next. I mean, again, if Golden Tempo wins the Preakness by 5 or 6 lengths, everyone's going to talk, and it's going to be the perfect horse to bet against in the Belmont, like you said. But I won't be betting Renegade or Golden Tempo in the Belmont. I can tell you that right now. So.
Yeah, Renegade's going to be a huge chalk. I mean, he'll probably be 3 or 4 to 5. People are going to hammer Renegade, which is going to be an opportunity to make money. But he'll be the heavy favorite.
Well, I'm rooting for Golden Tempo to crush the Preakness so that there's going to be 2 huge favorites.
If he goes, it sounds like, I can't share too much, but I mean, there's a chance he goes, but I don't know. I mean, I'd put it right now.
He's going to go, dude. He's going to go.
Without saying too much, I'd probably say 60-40 skips it.
No, I disagree. It's a walkover. Okay. And if the Baffert horse goes, maybe. But
I don't even think it's about who goes. I think it's just about how they want to manage the horse. And, it's now become in vogue to skip the Preakness, and for a horse that obviously is a closing style. Again, I think he'd win the Preakness. I really do. But they may just say, let's hold off and go to Saratoga. Look at Cherie. Her family's all from upstate New York. They're Saratoga people. But we'll see. I mean, they're undecided right now from what I've heard. But who knows?
I mean, here's the thing. You win the Derby. You're the first female trainer ever. The governor is calling you. Every single person in the media is calling you. Everyone's
NBC's begging for Cherie to go. You kidding? NBC wants her to go so bad.
Yeah, you're probably getting all these like keys of the cities, and you can go out to go to my friend's resort here. You're gonna plus. How cool would it be if a female trainer won the Triple Crown? Like, I mean, if you look at this, so my argument right now, slow horses. Okay. Horse benefited from a warm pace, not a hot pace. To me, it was warm. So the jury's not out. If this horse goes into the Preakness and no one goes, if Baffert's, horse, crude, whatever, doesn't go.
He's going to run Cherokee, I think, regardless.
Yeah. I don't think Cherokee will beat. Well, I mean, I don't know. Anyway, so the point is, if you can walk over the Preakness and not take that much out of the horse, and then you go into the Belmont, you've got a 30% chance, 25% chance of becoming the first female trainer to win the Triple Crown. That story alone is worth tens of millions of dollars. And if it's only
Baffert ruined the Triple Crown. He ruined it. He ruined it. He ruined the Triple Crown. Baffert made a joke out of the Triple Crown. That's the problem. He destroyed it. When you have a legendary horseman like Bill Mott who says we're skipping the Preakness, it's like it doesn't even mean anything anymore. How sad is that? That's how bad Bob is. He ruined the whole thing.
You don't have to get so personal, but I will say the thing is it's better for the horses not to go anyway. We know that. So so it's actually it's a win if she doesn't go. And if she does go and she has a little walkover, and again, I don't think it's fast. I don't think so. My take is right now, this whole crop is very mediocre. This is, if there's not to say that this horse being a deep closer is going to be it. If I play in the Preakness in a tournament, I would potentially bet against Golden Tempo, even though the horse probably has above a 30% chance of winning. But I think it's very hard to walk away if you're Cherie DeVaux about.
Of course, it's a lot of money. I mean, it's a lot on the line. Of course, but I disagree with you, and there's no right or wrong answer yet because it's too early. If you told me right now and you gave me odds for the Breeders' Cup Classic, right, and you could offer me a head-to-head bet just on what we know right now, Renegade versus Sovereignty, I'm taking Renegade.
I hate head-to-head bets, man, because I don't want to see
taking Renegade.
Well, Renegade's likely to come in second or third or something, so it's like not even.
I think Renegade could be loud. That was in Arkansas. He was incredible, and that race yesterday, he was insane.
No, he wasn't.
Yes, he was.
Okay,
Renegade was incredible, and Denim Bourbon is going to be a nice horse.
So
Really nice.
let's go back to odds again because you know how I like to talk, and I feel like
Yeah.
nobody in horse racing does this. So you think Renegade is what? Like, what's the probability this horse wins the Belmont? How many times out of 10?
You're talking to someone that's going to bet against him because he's going to be 4 to 5.
I know
But
you
the
think he's going to be
way,
4 5. What do you think? How many times out of 10 does he, or like 100 or 10? How many times do you win?
based on the field, who we think it's going to be, Chief, and let's just say Cherie either goes to Preakness or even doesn't, whatever. The 3-year-old crop, as it stands right now, if they ran the race 100 times, I'd be hard pressed to say Renegade doesn't win it 65 times. That horse is
Okay,
that horse is a beast.
we might have to put something on the line here, dude. When that
And
if
it's
that's what
Todd.
it
It's
comes
Todd
to.
at Saratoga. I mean, I'm not betting him. I'm not gonna bet him at 4 to 5. But I couldn't tell anybody with a straight eye that tell him the horse isn't gonna win. He's probably gonna win.
Probably going to win. Like, what are you saying, dude? That's nothing. So 65 is a big number. That's
Huge number.
I
What would
I
you
don't.
say? They ran
What
it
would
a
I
hundred times.
what would I say right now? Even
Yeah,
if not much shows up,
just what we know
mm,
based on now.
I would say like he should be 3 to 1, something like that.
No, but how many times would he win it if they ran it a
No,
hundred times?
25.
25.
Yeah.
I think you're way off. I think that's way too low.
Wait, like way off. Like when I said that the Derby was going to be won by a 20 to 1 shot or more, and that the favorite garbage.
Well, I mean, listen, but speed horses just they can't do it anymore. It's so hard to go a mile and a quarter the first time in your life with all those people there, all these
That's
horses amped up.
no, but
They just
the favorites
they
weren't
don't
speed horses.
re-break in the stretch anymore. It just
Yeah,
doesn't happen.
yeah, but you're getting off the point. The favorites were not like speed horses, and to me, they're all mediocre right now. So let the hype trains begin. You can talk up Renegade. Everybody,
I don't think Dana Bourbon's mediocre. I totally disagree. I
okay.
think Denon Bourbon's a special horse. Special.
Well, is he gonna stay or is he gonna go back?
I'm not allowed to say.
Oh, okay, that's fair. Well, you're kind of the gossip king, so
Dana
yeah.
Bourbon, Dana Bourbon may have little bumps and bruises. I'll just say that.
Oh, well,
Dana
that's a big
Bourbon's
step.
gonna be. Dana Bourbon's gonna take a little vacation.
Yeah. So let's go back to the rest of the day then, because I know people are pretty up in arms about this whole 300,000 shot around
Yeah.
the world.
Yes.
Elvis is risen.
First of all, first of all, I want to know. I want to go into your brain for that race. I'm gonna pull up the PPs. What race was that?
It's the third to it was the 10th
All
race,
right,
right?
hold on,
So
hold on. Let me pull up.
just
Let me
ask me a
pull it up.
question. What do you want to know?
So I want to know when you looked at the race, and I know you're a big value guy. Um, my play was T.O. Elvis. Now, my play was T.O. Elvis because my buddy Cope, who we'll have on at some point in the show because he's a great handicapper, he's an upstate New York kid, great dude. He sends me the replay of that horse last Monday or Tuesday and says, "Shoo, look at this horse." He said, "I know it's in Japan. I don't know who he's beaten. No idea. But just watch the race." And if you go watch that race, the Capella, it was breathtaking. I mean, the horse did it so easy and just drew away like a good thing. And he
Yeah.
said, "Listen, I don't know if this horse will be good enough to win. Knightsbridge is obviously going to be tough. But at that price, we have to bet it." So I don't know, I bet probably 60 across the board on him. I had picked threes into him. And then after the race, I'm looking up like, what just happened? But now let you now dive in. So who did you end up betting there?
Why don't you tell me? Who do you think I bet?
So you didn't bet Knightsbridge. I'm going to say you went with Disco Time.
So keep in mind when I'm playing in a tournament, I'm trying to get to a number, right? So the number you're
Mm-hmm.
trying to get to is, unfortunately, in that tournament, it's like 20x.
Okay.
You got to get 20 times your bankroll. So if you start with 3,500, you got to get to at least 65, 70, 80 grand. That dictates some of the decision making already. So when you're thinking about how to structure a winning ticket to victory, because I like to play to win, I look for races that I hate. Hate's a strong word. Do I think Knightsbridge is a good horse? Absolutely. Am I going to bet against that horse in that situation? Every damn time. That's as pretty as it gets for me, because I can take a horse that's got 40 to 50% of the money in the bankroll and I can slap them down to like 18% or something like that, right? So I can save myself like 20 to 30% probability that can go around to other horses. And I have to find the winner though, and I couldn't find the winner. I didn't think that Japanese horse, obviously when a horse gets bet like that, you know that there's a chance. And I respected the horse. Certainly I would never bet the horse at 5, but and we'll talk about that swing. But to me, I thought that both Disco Time and Disruptor were interesting, and the Baffert horse, Cornucopian, was interesting.
Yep.
So to me, it was really just a play against the against Knightsbridge, and so I took Disco Time and Cornucopian in a double because I had to get to a certain number, and I was wrong in the next race. So I didn't necessarily like rhetorical. And actually, at this event here, the Poker for Ponies, I was going heads up against Walden in some matchups there, and I got him. And then there's I don't want to tell the full story, but it got a little heated about
oh boy,
there's some like
come on, people want to hear it. Let's go. People want to hear it.
It's
Did
like
Walden cheat at poker. Can we put this out there?
No,
Did he cheat at poker?
No. There's just some like interesting ways of chips and counting chips and dealers giving chips that have certain values and things. But anyway, the point is, it was interesting to like see someone get, like, when I challenged him on the chips and stuff, he got really defensive. And so as soon as somebody gets really defensive, they're usually guilty. But yeah, he ended up he got me though. He took me first. We're playing for charity, so this is like whatever. But he did well. He's a hell of a poker player. But anyway, so he won a rhetorical, and I saw him in the winner's circle. I'm like, yeah, that's another finger to me, because I didn't use rhetorical in the double. So, but yeah, it was a situation where, like, let's talk about the big story. So, first of all, let me just say this to our lovely audience: if somebody does want to add some commentary, because this is such a thing right now. When somebody is betting, when an elite team, and I think I know who it is, put the 300K down, according to Gramm, that it came from one team. When they put that money down on the biggest day of horse racing, that is a statement. That is a statement. Like, who
do you think it was?
It doesn't matter. But the fact is, and to put that kind of money down, I can tell you it's definitely one of the top 4 teams, unless it comes from Japan, and there's a Japan connection that wants to connect with somebody that's an elite player or whatever. So my point is, you just have to ask yourself, like, why are you mad? So are you mad because when the horse was 12 that you bet it, and then the horse drifted down to 5? I get that is infuriating. So if you're betting that horse substantially, and it's a flyer horse, this horse has never been here, so I don't think a lot of players are going to go ham on that horse. So I know I've seen a couple people in the tournament commenting about their doubles getting smashed in half, unfortunately, and that there's no sicker feeling in a tournament than you make your bets and you're just trying to get it in. The anxiety of betting $500, $1,000, $5,000 down, and you don't want the odds to move, and then all of a sudden they break, boom, now you're screwed because you can't win. So I just want to like put some like a container around it and say, okay, it was a statement made by the team. It was a wink, a smile, a slap to the industry. Like, what are you going to do about it? You need us. We got to be here. What are you going to do? Cut 40% of your revenue away? So the Sharks are not going to stop eating and feasting. They're murdering this game, as some people would say. The game isn't dying, but the point is, there's that conversation first. Don't hate the player, hate the game. The game can't really avoid CAWs. Then there's the impact it has on the players. A long shot that's coming from Japan, coming here, no one's going to smash that horse here typically, right? I mean, there's a handful, but so if you really want to think about the impact on the everyday player, not much. So it's kind of cool in a way how, you know, this horse did get overlooked, because Japanese sprinters, I mean, they've done okay over here. It's not like the first time. Remember that horse that raced at Santa Anita before the Breeders' Cup, won the prep for that, and I think it was against Private something. Anyway, their horses, their sprinters can run. So it's. I just think we have to look at every situation differently, and we have to understand that these guys are they're not going away. They are, you know, there's reasons that they're this good. They've invested millions, and they have teams of 10 to 50 to 100 people working on crunching data. So let's call a spade a spade. If there's a hedge fund that's on the street that's got, you know, billions in capital, and they know people, and they know how to like send, you know, trades through because their servers are located, you know, right, you know, blocks away from the center, from, you know, the terminals and all that, like edges are always going to exist. So I just think we have to be aware of asking questions right now still about where do we draw the lines, because
Well,
go ahead.
No, here's my question, and you know so much more about this than I do. But let's just say, for whatever reason, they like this horse, that CAW team, and you had said, let's go to an extreme here, Christian. Let's just play an extreme game. Let's say CAWs were cut off 10 minutes to post. Okay. Do you think they still make a $300,000 bet at the 10-minute to post mark?
Yeah.
So they know. So it's not based on late odds, or they don't see things late that are matriculating and then hammer. You think they know 20 minutes to post that they're going to hammer O Elvis.
Oh yeah.
So why can't they?
No, because
why not? I don't get
because,
if they're going to bet it anyway. Like, if you like, why not? And you know, the 2 minutes to post was a start for the industry, and people were kind of like, it's not great, but it's better than what happened Saturday, right? Why not? Why? Because they're just fleecing the public by doing it so late. And not that it would make this huge difference if the horse, honestly, between me and you, we're talking now in front of everybody. If the horse was 5-1 with 10 minutes to post, guess what? I'm still going to bet 60 across on him. You know, I'm still going to bet him, because I'm going to say, wow. I'm going to say, wow, the money's really on this horse. I'm going to bet him anyway. I like him. He's getting bet. So what? But at least I know I'm getting 300 on the win bet, and, you know, not what I'm thinking, a lot more than that. But to me, it's like, these people are going to bet regardless, whether they're CAWs or not. They're going to bet. They like money. And if they think they have an edge, they're going to bet into these pools. So why do we give them the tools to fleece the general public? That is my problem. I don't care. You know what I mean?
So I guess I would start with, they're not fleecing. What they're doing is they're striking when the time is right. And what they're trying to figure out is, how can they get the most amount of money down without people following them? So I don't know if you're aware of this, but a lot of times these teams, there's just a bunch of leeches, dude.
Yeah, they'll piggyback. Yeah.
Parasites.
Yeah. Yes.
Nothing is more uninspiring than, to me, leeches. Whether it's people that want to come up to you, oh, why do you like this horse? Why? Or was it? It's like, all people want to do is just try to suck the life out of you and try to pick your brain. And if you spent days, hours, years, decades doing stuff, all they're looking for is their hit, their dopamine hit, to try to like get an edge and do whatever they can. The sharks are so like sharp, smart, whatever you want to call it, and they're there to lose 5%, right? So their game is different. So it's an uncomfortable person in the room, that it's like you kind of have to, like, it's like an uncle that's really rich, that is kind of like not necessarily somebody you trust, but or they're just really smart and they're quiet and they're introverted and you can't really connect with them, but they're good at what they do. And you don't root for them because they're not going through the struggle that 99% of the players are going through. So it's easy to hate on them, right? It's easy to hate on Brady. It's easy to hate on um, Mahomes, anybody that's good at anything. People hate on me when I win tournaments. Oh, you're too aloof. You're too full of yourself. You're this or that. I just want to put my head down and try to figure out who's going to win the race, because every second that I have in my brain is valuable. And like I said, I stared down that exacta and I said to myself, should I put $600 on that to try to win this thing? No, I'm going to do other things. And every conversation that we have impacts and that's why I try to be not influenced by anybody. But when you're going to talk about this big elephant or whatever's in the room, we have to respect them because it's a business and they've worked very hard to get to that level. So if Tom Brady worked every single day of his life and never went out, never drank alcohol, never
don't compare Tom Brady to the CAWs. They have not worked hard. They got algos and computer teams, and they're making every shortcut possible to take advantage of us, the betting public. Don't compare them to an athlete. They have no gift. They have computer teams, and they
who'd you compare him to? Who'd you compare him to out of athletes? If you had to compare him to an athlete,
I'd compare him to Wall Street traders who can get trades in 20 seconds faster than the average Joe on their E-Trade account. And we're going to reward them and piss on the betting public, who, by the way, pays taxes in this country. They don't. By the way, goes to racetracks and buy beers and hot dogs and brings their kids and pays for parking. They don't do any of that. Why are we rewarding them? Because now they're worried about the other leeches in this sport. Oh, they're going to see our bet and latch onto it and do this and do that. You know what? There's got to be a better way. There has to be.
Wait, do you shop at Costco?
I do not. I get paranoid. It gets crazy in there. No,
it's so crazy.
I do not go I have not been to Costco in 15 years. Yeah, I'm proud to say that.
Yeah, I know COVID and all these things probably got you paranoid. You're wearing masks everywhere you go.
No, there's 8 million people there.
I know, I'm kidding, but my point is, do you hate people that go to Costco and get a frozen bag of blueberries that's 3 pounds for $9 and you're spending $6 for maybe 10 ounces of blueberries at your local Whole Foods or grocery store? Do you hate on the Costco guys? Do you hate them?
I mean, I don't hate them, but I think they should shop local. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. You got to feed your family. You got 5 kids at home. You got to go do. You got to do what you do. I get it.
So you're saying that the CAWs don't have 5 kids at home?
I mean, but it's they're just, something's got to be done. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I'm at a loss for words with them.
Let's try to make some strides to kind of stay in the cliches of horse racing.
And again, if you just offer fixed odds, we could get whatever we wanted on TO.
It doesn't work that way.
And I could have bet my $40, $50 at 30 to 1 or 20 to 1 or 15 to 1 or 12, whatever it was, and I would have been fine with it. But since we don't have fixed odds in this country because we're all a bunch of assholes, then we're all pissed off and we complain about it.
I don't think I'm an asshole. I think I'm sometimes a little hard to deal with, but I guess when it comes to your point about fixed odds, yeah, they're coming. They should come. But for small players, yes,
they need to come. It should be retail only. Oh, it should be retail only.
Yeah,
that should be a completely retail only better.
The challenge that you face here is you talk about this, and I think it's important that we talk about things as a theme of all of our shows. How can we make this game better? What can we do to bring in new people? How can we get to Gen Z? How can we get to the people that are sports bettors and fantasy players, right? How can we get to those people? And yes, you bring up a good point. If somebody sees a horse's odds at 12 and goes all of a sudden thinks they're going to get $26 and they get 12, that's a slap in the face and they probably won't bet again, right? So I 100% agree with that. That is a problem. Now the question is, how can we on one end attract new players and new fans, and then also appease the whole ecosystem so that everything still is surviving, right? And fixed odds, the problem that you face is if you allow people to go into fixed odds straight away, you could open up, I went to Bet Bash and I met 500 of the smartest sports bettors in the country the last 3 years. And you go there and you meet these guys, and you know what I met? I met one guy. It's probably 25. He told me he took like DraftKings and FanDuel for like over $10 million. And you know how he did it?
Jesus. How?
He would go in his college, and he would get all of his friends and his sister's friends and his family all sign up for accounts.
Right.
And this is back in the day, and they would give out ridiculous promos, right?
Yeah,
Here's
$500.
yeah, thousands. So check this out. If you were to bet on the morning of the game and lose, say 10 grand, 20 grand,
right,
they assume that you're just like a newbie, or just a like a sucker, right? So what they would do is they would lose, or they would just bet at the end, one or two bets, whether they win or lose. And then they would get phone calls from DraftKings and FanDuel saying, "Oh, come back. Here's another, if you bet another 20 grand, we'll give you another 20 grand. I'm not even kidding." And then they would take that 40 grand, and then they would slowly win a little bit or this, that. And then they would all of a sudden bet early enough when they had the advantage, and they would crush them. And so they would make money on the promo side. They would make money by like deceiving them. And so my point is, and just so you know, this guy never got paid some of the money.
Wow.
He had to go to court to get some of this money because of the promotional stuff. And they literally blocked every person with the same zip code in his area, because he tried to sign up like a dozen people, and they wouldn't accept anybody with that area code because they knew that they were related or connected to him. So my point is, when you do fixed odds, people will massively sign up for accounts. So you're going to have like, the CAWs will get 100 or 200 or 50, and they'll try to sprinkle it around. And so they can hurt fixed odds, by the way, by doing that, because they can siphon a lot of money out. But it's one of those things where eventually you can figure it out. It's like what's going on with Kalshi and the predict markets. When someone's like 5 for 5, right, in these weird bets, and they're unstoppable, they have an inside, look. And I'm saying there's a way that fixed odds can police that activity. But what's gonna end up happening is two things. You're gonna have limits, massive limits, like $50, $100. So but for the average player, I agree with you.
It's fine. Yeah, it's fine.
So that supports fixed odds. I'm behind fixed odds too. I think you need both. So the other thing is, you've got, this whole idea of these players that aren't, they're not going to necessarily, they'll win, right? And after they win, if they get too good, they're going to get cut off. And that's what's happening in London and in the UK, is as soon as you start winning, you're done. And that's the other problem. So there's going to be that piece of the spectrum in the fixed odds. If you start winning and you get on a roll and they cut you out and they shut you down, you're going to have that backlash too. So no matter what happens, it's like, whether you believe in monogamy or polyamory, relationships their work, and it's hard. It's never easy, no matter what. And I'm saying fixed odds, parimutuel, whatever. There's always going to be a problem. Limits, getting cut off. Fixed odds, right? Oh, CAWs or people are bringing in a bunch of fake accounts. So that's never going away, ever. So deal with that problem, or you deal with the sharks, and you have to sometimes, like you said, Delmar and NYRA have tried to like reel it down and do the 2-minute thing. And I don't know if they're just tapping them on the shoulder and telling them, hey, we need perception to look good here, so don't overdo it. And it's kind of a gentleman's handshake. I'm just saying, this is the game this is the world we live in, right? Like, this is, the world is not a friendly place. It's not safe. Not everyone is going to be who you think they are. Like, this is the game. The gambling is a weird frequency. So like I'm not sure why the CAW did this though. Like this, like I said, is a statement. I believe I know who it is because of the fact that this person was getting talked to, and told to slow it down. And I think this was them saying no. So I think when you're an elite athlete or politician or performer, savant, artist, whatever it is, you're going to push buttons. You live in a fantasy world. And so I think this whole thing is is it's fascinating. Like biggest day of horse racing, and it's the craziest situation. This is a horse coming from Japan, but it would be cool to find out. Hopefully in the next week or two. Like I think transparency would be cool. I think there's
Never, never
like,
gonna happen.
but shouldn't wouldn't it be cool to say, all right, who did hit this horse? What like could you
It'd be
even not?
really cool, but you won't. You'll never know. You'll never find out.
I mean, some people know. I'm saying you could say, okay, it's one of the top three syndicates, right? You know, you could float some stuff out there to make people hate this person more. But you know what's ironic about all this stuff is it's actually giving more press to horse racing. There is no such thing as bad news in some ways, and horse racing right now has some momentum for the first time in a minute. So it's like this is like a lot of views or viewers. You got some really cool stories on the Gramm. You've got Cherie winning that. You've got the Ortiz brothers won too. You've got this Japan like Elvis Slam resurrection. You got just there's momentum, and I don't know. The Kalshi stuff is going on, and there's all that. So I'm just kind of like let's not get too upset right now. Let's see if we can harness some of this energy and use that to like explain how to bet on horse racing and say, look at this. The biggest takeaway from this is, to me, they bet to win, bro. They bet to win, right? Plain and simple. The best bet to win. And like that's a huge marker for the average horse player to think about. Like, bet to win. Start tracking your long shots, your second shot, your second favorites, your third favorites. Figure out where your strengths and weaknesses are, and look at the stones it took to bet on a horse that's never been in America, shipping across the country, no idea, on sight unseen on this track. Nobody saw it in the mornings saying this is like a sure thing or anything, right? I mean, what is a sure thing? So I'm just trying to enjoy the drama a little bit here and just saying, hey, like maybe we could create some rivalries between the CAWs and some players. I would be more. I talked to Joko about this. I was like, hey man, anytime you want to go in a tournament, like let's have some fun. And he's like, well, can we see everybody's bets? Can we see what everyone's doing? Da, 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 da. And he's like, yeah, you'd probably beat me because you've been doing this for too long. And da, 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 da. And I mean, I don't know if I'd beat him, but I think it would be cool. How do you feel about that? What if we got some CAW representatives, even if it wasn't them, but if it was someone from their camp, maybe they can wear like, I don't know, like a black samurai outfit or something, and or come in with some like the Matrix, Mr. What it was in the Matrix, Mr. Johnson or whatever. So anyway, yeah, Mr. Anderson. So, but my point is, like, let's embrace this rivalry right now. Like, people love to watch The Bachelor and Survivor because people get voted off the island. Like, people would love to see the CAWs lose a big bet. Like, imagine if you lost. Like, think about that. Then the odds go up on every other horse. So there's a flip side.
I think most people watching, including myself, would like to line them up along a cliff somewhere in this country and push them overboard. I think we'd rather do that than watch them bet.
I think you. How about this? What if you line them up, and then you after they made their bet, and if they lost, then you could push them, off the cliff.
Love it. Push them off the cliff. It just sucks because, even like Elite, who's the Stronach baby. Like, and Stronach tracks are going to be closing down. Like, Santa Anita is on its last straw, and Gulfstream is what it is. And it's like, how great is Elite done for you if you're going to walk away? Like, it must not be that great. Yeah, they're making money. They're washing money and doing whatever. They're laundering money and doing what they're doing for their people. But it's not good for the game. And as retail bettors walk away and get frustrated, they're betting less. And you know it, like that $300,000 bet. That $300,000 bet. What do you think CDI cleared from that $300,000 bet?
Well, you can do the math. It's just take 10% because they're gonna split with Horseman. They get $30K
after rebates.
Oh, good point. A little less, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, and so for $16,000, You just set fire to the sport on national TV for $16,000. Really? CDI, you needed that 16 grand for what? That's one seat on Derby Day is 16 grand. You know, like you $16,000. You just lit the sport on fire for 16 grand. Think about that. These rebates they're getting are absurd.
No, they're not absurd. They're not absurd. You can't do that. You can't. I'm not here to defend the Sharks because I don't necessarily. Um, I mean, I like to compete, man. I'll go head to head against anybody, especially like elite players, like people that treat this as a business. This isn't a hobby. This is a business. This is how they are. That's the mindset that they have. I love that. I respect that. Um, I think you have to be careful. And I'm not saying you're an emotional guy, and there's nothing wrong with emotions, but levelly headed here, the industry has to have the pools and the depth of the pools to bet favorites. They bet a lot of money on lower priced horses that allow you to have liquidity. So you have to honor that. There needs to be market makers kind of like them. The price of the rebates does not need to go much further down. I mean, you could maybe squeeze it a little more, but you're still going to see odds drops. That's not going to solve the problem. These people, a lot of them are like, I know a couple of them, decent humans, like they're not, cringe or, gangsters. So to me, people are always going to hate people that are smarter than them or better than them. That's why I brought up Tom Brady and Mahomes, right? There's going to be 50% of the people that hate you, 50% of the people that respect you or love you. So that's the way it is. Same in politics. So I just, instead of throwing daggers at these guys, I would say, let's respect our elders in that regard, that they've been doing this for decades and they're talented. Bill Benter, Alan Woods, and their teams, and the people and the disciples and the leeches and the copycats and all that crap. But my point is, there has to be a moment when the pools close, whether it's 2 minutes before they go in the gate, 1 minute, so forth. You can try to throttle it, right? You can throttle it down and say 2 minutes, no more elite, big bets or whatever. You can start to play that. So maybe a throttling system could work. But their whole goal is for people not to cheat off of them. They don't want people, if they bet early and this and that, they're not going to get their price. And they want to, it's just like playing poker. You want to bluff, or wait until you have to show your cards and show what you're really willing.
Yeah, but they're manipulating pools. They're pulling bets back. They're manipulating pools. 1,000%. You don't think they're manipulating pools?
No.
Really?
That's a farce.
You don't think they're manipulating pools?
First of all, if you talk to some of these guys, number one, there's rules. Like, they can't cancel bets. They can't
cancel any bet.
They have
I don't believe that.
No,
really?
You should ask. Yeah, you should ask. Maybe we can get one of these guys on and have them give you and the team and the horsepower community some understanding. There are limits on these cancellations, and it's going to be really small for you, just so you know, because there's odds manipulation and there's agencies that are responsible for monitoring that. That is absolutely unacceptable. But there's a difference. So maybe I'm going to get to your point. If somebody wants to bet $5,000 at the first click on a horse that they're not going to bet, to try to get people that are interested in maybe thinking that this horse is going to go off 4 to 5, and then they're going to maybe not bet on that horse in the end, and they're going to be willing to give up that $5,000 just to try to sway the fish and the middle fish or the average bettors that don't understand that there's no money in the pools until the last 10 minutes. So the odds are basically irrelevant until you have like 10 minutes to post or 8 minutes to post. And if you don't know that by now, then you're just a casual fan and you're just, throwing money around and the odds don't matter. Because if the odds really mattered, people would be so far from this game by now. They're not as price sensitive as they think. They like to complain when they lose. They like to blame somebody, and it's hard. This game is near impossible. But you can't get caught in this whole mindset that you're at a disadvantage. It's like you're at a victim, because there's a point, like I said, that was a slap in the face. If you bet that horse and you thought you were getting 10 or 12, because he's going to come down a little bit probably, and you can look overseas and other places and see where the odds are going to end up. It's not hard to find that information. But if you don't
I
do
know,
that,
but you don't. There's nowhere in your heart that feels bad for the father of three or whatever who's there and is not a multimillionaire and goes and spends money and loves horse racing and bets and puts 100 to win on that horse, thinking he's buying his kids dinner that night and that's going to make his day, and he ends up getting $500 instead of what would have been 1,200 or 1,300 bucks. There's nothing at the last click that makes you feel bad for the average Joe that's at
you
the racetrack just betting and doesn't have all these tools that the CAWs have. I mean, to me, it's just bullshit. And these are the people that are the foundation of our game. CAWs are not the foundation of this sport, and they never have been. They're a
well,
cash cow for racetracks when things started going bad, that they could say and juice up the pools, and racetrack management could say, "Oh, look at our handle today. It was 25 million, it was 29 million." Yeah, well, what percent of it was it computer money that you're rebating, given 15, 30%, whatever your rebate is? Like, that's not what this game was meant to do. That's not what taxpayers pay in New York to support NYRA and have Saratoga run all summer. It's not what it was meant to do. And these people are, yes, they're smart people. They take advantage of it, but they're taking advantage of the retail bettors at a cost that has far exceeded any realistic sense of humanity and respect for what this sport is all about. And that's the whole point. And when you talk about retail players on horse racing Twitter and at the racetracks, it's just so frustrating. And I get it, but these people have jobs. They have kids. They're going to the track maybe one day a week. They don't have the resources that they do, and they're just
okay.
clowning
Hold on,
the players.
hold on. So I love getting into the weeds. First of all, back to the Costco analogy. He could go to Costco and he could actually
Forget Costco. Shop
get
local. Shop local.
or
Get
no, a
redesigned.
farmer's market. How about that? Farmer's market.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I love me some farmer's market. Love me some organic, fruits and vegetables. Drink kombucha if you want to save your life.
There you go.
You heard it here. Let me say one thing too. If you're watching this right now and you like what we're talking about, and I'm not an infomercial guy, just subscribe, because we are, and there's a bunch of us and more people coming. Subscribe to the channel, because if the channel gets a little bigger, there's going to be more incentives and we're going to be able to do some more things. But I'm coming out of the woodwork and the weeds to talk kind of as a pro player who's got a pretty good record in the tournaments, as everyone knows. But I take the game serious, and I want to help this industry, and I want to make sure that the whole community comes together and has discussions like this, because there's not really a place in my eyes that people can go other than to get tips and laughs and all that kind of stuff and break down races. I don't want to break down races. I want to talk about issues, and I want to help players get smarter and save money. So do subscribe. Like, if you literally do that, and I'm not going to talk about it anymore, but I want people to understand that matters. That shows me that you care, because we're not, charging or anything for this. But when it comes to the reality of the situation, I wanted to walk you through some examples when it comes to CAW impact. Okay, you talk about a family of 5. First of all, NFL. What does it cost to go to a baseball game or an NFL game right now? Right? This is hitting all professional entertainment. It's prices are up. That's the reality. So back to not getting into the victim mindset. How do we adapt? But maybe only go to one football game. Maybe don't get season tickets. Maybe only see your 2 favorite teams. Maybe you end up going, in a big group and sitting in the nosebleeds with your friends, and you're not getting, it's a different experience. But I want to ask you this. How many times on a given, let's do a week, on a given week, is there an odds drop where it's alarming? Now, I'm going to pose that to you, and then I'm going to try my best to recall, I think it was a document that Marshall Gramm put together. So NYRA's had the least amount of these drops, and I don't know if that's because of the 2-minute thing or it's because of handshakes to try to get these guys to slow it down. But Santa Anita, a week, how many horses drop? And because I think we can tighten this window down, we're not talking 2-1 to 6-5, which is actually a massive drop, by the way. That's a 2-to-1 to a 6-to-5 is a bigger drop than like a 6-to-1 to probably 7-to-2, just so you know, in my experience betting like in those types of scenarios, right? So when you go from like, 33% of the win pool to 50%, that's almost double, right? Not quite, but that's a huge chunk. So there's the perception issue that we face. And then there's the actual math, the dollar impact that is in the pocket of the average retail customer. So if we're talking about, the first thing is the frequency. So in your estimate, in a week, how many times does a horse, and it's probably got to be in the odds range of, let's say 20-to-1 to like, I don't know, 7-to-2. So in the odds, that's where they finish or whatever. So they can start as high as 20 and they could go as low as 7-to-2. If that's the range we're talking about, how many times does a horse go from 20 to 12, 12 to 6, 6 to 7-to-2? In your experience, in an average week at Santa Anita, like how many times?
Santa Anita is a bad one for me because I'm not locked into California. But if I looked at Keeneland, give me Keeneland. Keeneland all the time. Keeneland
like,
was almost every day.
How many times in a week? So you're going to say once a day?
Yeah, at Keeneland, yes, 100%.
Okay, so let's do that math. And I'm not sure where this math is going to go. And I've heard numbers that are kind of like maybe a little less than that, but let's use it. So Keeneland runs for what, 4 weeks, something like that, 4 or 5 weeks.
Just about, yeah.
Okay, so that's like, what is it, like 5 times, so like 25 race days maybe this last month, something like that. Mm-hmm. Okay, so what we're saying is 25 times, if we're going to use your assumption that's happening once a day, 25 times there's an odds drop. So the first question is, how many of those odds drops are winning? Okay,
I mean, it feels like 90%, but it's obviously not. Right. Maybe it's half of them. I don't know.
Call it half. Let's say half to. Okay, so on one end, half the time the odds are getting smashed. Smash is also, so also there's the delta. Are they going from 6 to 4? Because we have to define what is the consideration of a drop. Is it 20% in the pools shifts? Is it 10% in the pools? Is it the odds going? Because if you bet, remember I was telling you that one horse that I liked a little bit, he went from 12 to 6, that turf sprinter at Keeneland or whatever. Like something. Yeah. And I looked at that and it was $7,000. So $7,000 caused the horse to go from 12-to-1 to 6-to-1, right? So I think we have to think about what is the delta between the odds, and then also how much money is going into it to do that, and how often is it happening. So if it happened 12 times, that screwed horse players.
But here's the problem. Here's the problem with your math right away is you see it not only in the win pool, you're seeing the late movement in the exacta pool too, where you think a $2 exacta is going to pay $88, and after the race it pays $51, and you're saying, what the fuck? So I think it's almost more common in the exacta pool than the win pool, and that's probably because the tracks are begging these people not to hammer the win odds so much, so they're going at, and that's where you see it at NYRA. NYRA cut them off the win pool. So what do? They attack the exacta and trifecta pools. And trifectas in New York have been the worst value bet in the last 5 years. And I'm convinced the CAWs, because those cutoffs, attack elsewhere. They're like a feeding frenzy.
It's not that cut and dry. It's, first of all, the quantity of horses in a race determines the payouts. If you can't get 8 horse fields anymore and you're getting 7 and 6, you're going to see a 15% reduction in the price, right? Usually per horse, especially when a lot of these.
No, but I'm talking about like what it says, the probable says it's going to be 2 minutes to post, and what the exacta actually pays is been absurd movements. Absurd.
Yeah, but see, there's some standard calculations and some math tools, and at some point I can throw some of that out there for people. If people want to ask questions in this, go ahead, and we'll answer some like more specifics too. But if you think about the odds and the trifectas and the exactas, like I've been looking at this for a decade. I'm looking at this in tournaments. I'm trying to figure out what happens when I bet a $500 double or a $500 exacta or a $1,000 exacta. What's going to happen is 2 things. It's going to get cut in half, probably, especially if it's at an average track early in the pools before 5 minutes or 4 minutes of post. I'm going to cut them in half, right? In a tournament, if it's 500 or 1,000. And then second, what happens after that? Do do the CAWs, do the leeches that come in and want to, try to, mimic people? Do they think, oh, that must be, team A or elite team B or C or D or A or whatever? So like my point is there's the chasing after that too. And then there's the last second money. And so there's like a game within a game within a game going on between the kind of the money chasers and all that stuff. So there's the traders that are playing horse racing at high levels. Not like the exchanges. Like when I was at Betfair, like there's the exchanges. There's true dedicated traders only arbitrage, and that's a cool customer that we're walking away from, by the way. But we have to understand that it's not just black and white. You have to look at every little bit and understand that when the odds are going to drop like that in the exotic pools, it's normal. That's what happens. For the last 10 years, I've been betting tournaments and seeing it happen. So what you have to look at is the difference between like maybe 1 minute and the final. And that's where your point can be valid, but you have to look at that over the history of a racetrack or, a certain types of race, because obviously the stakes races are going to be different. They're going to be more reliable data. So you have to look at the whole aggregate. You have to look at the whole situation before you just start making claims that, oh my God, the exactas got bet in half and da, 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 da. It's like you have to look at the norm first.
You're a value guy. When I was a kid going to the racetrack, the oldest trick in the book, my dad used to say it, everybody used to say it. It wasn't always accurate, but it was within a certain range. It would be pretty spot on. You used to go to the racetrack as a kid, and even 10 years ago, before these computers started getting out of control, you used to take the win price. If the horse paid $12 to win, and you take the place price of the second place horse, let's say you paid $4 to place, and if you multiplied 12 by 4, the $2 exacta within a certain range would be $48. If you do that today, you puke. You puke.
No, I don't buy
you
that.
puke.
I don't buy
you
that.
puke.
They're unrelated.
You puke.
Because, no.
And people wonder why they can't make money. You vomit.
I think that's because you
vomit.
That's because I've seen you drink at Keeneland. I know why you
No, not because I drink. I'm telling you that if anyone wants to comment here, that used to be the old trick, and it wasn't always perfect. But within a range, you'd say, "Oh yeah, 12 times 4, the $2 exacta should pay $48 for a 5-1 over a 9-2 shot." It's it's dreadful looking at that these days.
You can't live in the past, bro. So no offense.
But horse players are, and horse players don't want to hit have to hit 5 exactas in a 10 race card to be profitable.
No, it's
and that's why they're walking away. That's why they're walking away.
No. First of all, they should be betting to win, like I've said over and over.
That's fine, but you have people who love to play exactas, and
you earn the right to bet exactas after you show a profit. After you win and you call your shots, then you can play exactas. That's now I know everyone likes to come into the game and try to hit a try or exacta. That's how I started. I started hitting a few exotics and thought I was good, and then eventually moved to win betting and so forth, and started playing the pick six. But I want to like make sure that we're clear on a few things. First of all, when it comes to the impact here, we started to go down the rabbit hole, and we stopped. We talked about Keeneland, and we said there might be 25 races where the odds dropped, 12 of which might have affected you. And 12 races, your odds were in your favor, by the way, because they screwed up, when it's probably actually more than that. We're going on a heavy side saying that they were right 50% of the time, which doesn't make sense to me, but we'll go ahead and go with it. So 12 times, exactas, let's use your exactas too. And you're coming from the mindset that you don't know that they're going to drop and all that stuff. I'm saying I don't see the value in bickering about the prices dropping. It's a adapt or die. It's Darwinism, and that's in business. Look at all the mom and pop shops that Amazon put out of business and Walmart put out of business. Do we want to shut down Amazon? Do people really not want to have everything delivered to their house? Like
you had a pick 5 on Derby Day, okay, Kentucky Derby Day, with how much dumb money in these pools, right? I mean, there is so much dumb, wasteful money in these pools on a big day like Derby Day, right? and the really sharp people like you and others can really take advantage of that a lot of times, right? The pick 5, I had it up. Hold on one sec.
Okay, let me
All right.
interject as you do this.
All right.
You do realize that if you bet the pick 5, you're
Mhm.
probably actually a horse player. You're not that dumb. You actually know what the pick 5 is, and you're actually kind of smart.
The morning lines of the pick 5 were 5-2,
Yeah,
4-1, 30-1, 5-2, and 30-1 in a 20-horse field. The pick 5 paid $2,300.
that's bad.
How do you make an excuse for that?
Well,
You can't. Now you want to tell people, why would you not bet a 5-team parlay tonight in the Knicks game instead?
Okay.
There's no value in horse racing anymore. They've liquidated the pools.
Hold on. Let's do this real quick. Tell me the odds again.
The odds were 5-2.
Yep.
4-1. Now I'm giving you morning line odds.
I know. We're gonna do both.
Okay. 5-2, 4-1.
Yep.
30-1, 5-2, and 30-1.
Okay. So if you wanted to use really crude math, based on a morning line, that should pay over 20K. Okay. So let's go to the actual odds. What were the actual odds?
I gotta look now.
I gotta make you do some work here to get into the. I know that obviously one of the 30s went off at 5.6, I think.
Yeah, I gotta pull up Equibase.
Yeah, bring up the chart. But what I want to understand is I want to share is the odds are always changing. Now, 231s, this is garbage. We all know that. This is the example of the CAW that got super greedy and was like, I'm going to make the biggest statement in the history of horse racing in the last 10 years or longer. And I'm going to, hey, I'm going to show the industry who's boss. That was a flex. That was the biggest flex I've ever seen in horse racing. Like one of them.
All right. So you got to do the odds. I'm going to give you the payouts. So Code Velocity paid $5.14.
Okay.
Then we had, was that the start of the pick 5? Yeah, right.
So, wait, $5? Okay.
Yeah. And then we had, no, that wasn't the start of the pick.
No, that wasn't it. Yeah, I was going to say, wasn't it?
The Derby was what? Race 12.
Well, just go 12 and go 12. Back.
So it was
24 times, so go to 12 and just work your way back.
Oh, okay. So, all right. Race 12, $48.
Yep. What's the next one?
Race 11, $5.92.
Okay.
Race 10, $13.74.
Okay.
Race 9, $4.40. And race 8, $5.14.
Are you sure that's right? Yeah,
I think so, right?
Because that's coming.
What does that come out?
It's like it's less than 1,000, and so that's where I want to double, because who was the other 20-1 shot that came in that got bet?
It was the Japanese horse that paid $13 and
the other one was Classic Q 20-1.
That wasn't in the pick 5.
Okay,
that was race 7. That was
Golden Tempo, Rhetorical, Elvis, Stark Contrast. Okay, no, you've made a mistake here, dude, because the pick 5 started with crude velocity.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Okay, so let me show you what. Okay, so then you said 30-1 twice though in your message, by the way.
Yeah, the Derby winner and the Japanese horse.
Oh,
they were both 30-1.
Yeah, you're talking morning line, right?
They were both 30-1 shots.
Okay, so when you look at this math though, it's $1,000. It should pay $1,000-1 for $1 if you're using just the normal odds right now in the given moment. So that's just multiplying the odds across the board, and when it paid $2,200, so that's actually not that bad.
Don't make that argument. Don't die on that sword.
What I'm trying to say is when you see on a normal day a horse that's mispriced at 30 to 1, the Japanese horse should have not been 30 to 1. When that horse goes from 30 to 1 and gets bet down to 12, you know the horse is coming down. You know it's a bad morning line. Or
what do you think the average pick 5 ticket costs?
The average,
if you had to guess,
that a retail player will bet. I don't know.
Anybody, no CAWs included. Whoever, pick 5.
I have no idea.
What do you think? It's a good question. I don't know either. I would say like $60. I don't know. Including all the monster tickets, it might be higher. Maybe it's double that. Maybe it's 120.
I'm just going to say this, and we'll
point is, you could put that $100 on one horse in the last race and make more money. So where is this horse racing offers you such value?
You mean a long shot? Yeah. A long shot in the last race? Just my point is when you think about the math here, I just want to make sure I call a spade a spade. Okay. The odds for the pick 5, even though the horses got bet and the CAWs are there and they've been there for eternity, more so now than ever, those odds should have paid around 1,000 to 1. It paid 2,200 to 1 based on the final odds. So I'm just giving you that data point. If the horse was not 30 to 1 and 30 to 1 morning line, right, and it wasn't the Derby day, and it was like if O Elvis was 7 to 1 morning line and he went off at 7 or 6, that's what it should have paid, around 1,000, and it paid 2,200. So
where's the value in horse racing?
So there's some uplift.
Why bet a pick 5 ever in your life?
No. So let me just say this. The way the pick 5 paid out is based on the horse being 12 to 1. So just sit with that for a moment, because if you believe that, then the real question is, what should it have paid if he did go off at 30 to 1? He may not be healthy. Also, keep that in mind. If he goes off at 30 to 1, he's not the same horse. But I'm saying is, you would double it. So if he went off at 30 to 1, it should have paid around $5,000. So that's what we're talking about. The difference between $5,000 if he was a true 30 to 1 shot, 2,200 if he's around a 12 to 1 shot, and 1,000 if he's 7 to 1. So there's actually, the payout for the pick 5 is based on him basically being 12 to 1. So just sit with that, and let's wrap up this discussion on the CAW stuff, because I just want to say that the impact is a lot less than people think when it comes to these odds drops. Yes, it's funneling away prices. It's eroding the everyday player. It is impossible right now to be a profitable horse player betting 4 and 5 to 1 shots. They're gone. They're not there, and they're bet down to 5 to 2, or they're not good. So what I'm saying is, the market is changing. You have to adapt. If you saw my interview with Tony Joe, he said, yeah, he's been working like 70-hour weeks. And he's got 3 kids, and all he's doing is running models and trying to figure out new things, because the point is, the obvious is gone in horse racing. There's no longer a way to make money betting the obvious in horse racing. If you're looking at the most basic information and you think you're going to have a lone F horse, like I bet 6 speed in the Derby because I knew he'd be on the front or close to it. And I said, what if they go slow? The trainer did tell me they can sit off. I'm like, what if he goes slow? He did have a decent pace figure in Dubai. What if he goes slow? What if they go 110 point, or what if they go 111.5 or 111.8? What if? I'm going to say that he's going to win the Derby more than 1 out of 45 times. So that was a position I took, and I did like Pavlonian, and I thought Golden Tempo was okay, but I'm not going to bet him at 23 to 1 when I think he's got a 5% chance, even though I respect it. I could not respect a horse player for betting any other horse under 20 to 1 based on my stuff. So the CAWs, we get it. Nobody likes them. I've met a few of them. I don't necessarily want to be friends with them either. Not my cup of tea, but let's honor that there's presidents people don't like, there's senators people don't like, there's people, there's bosses you don't like, there's rules. You have to wear a tie, you have to, you can't say certain things, you can't, wear a headband and pick a long shot. So the point is, like, let's not get too wrapped up, and let's try to set some rules. If we really want to be constructive, then we got to think about what are some things that we can present to the industry. So when the horse players do want to comment more, or they want to get more, and we have more roundtables, what can we what can we present to some of these executives and say, hey guys, like, yeah, the sharks are feasting and the small fish are slowly no longer in the pools. And it's not, we
They
know
don't
that,
care. They don't care.
well, okay.
They get paid by them.
You
They
can,
don't care.
yeah. Okay.
They
So
get paid by them.
you know what they do care
That's
about?
the problem. People got mad about Vic when he was on with us because he stuck up for the CAWs. Vic gets paid by a racetrack that gets paid because of handle, that gets paid because CAWs are putting monster amounts of money in the pools. So no one that works at a racetrack is ever going to speak badly about them because they pay them.
It does. Everybody pays them. They're all taxpayers, dude.
Horse
The little
players
guy.
pay them. Horse players pay them. You think they acknowledge us? Horse players
Okay.
pay them.
Well, we all know horse players don't get much
And we
acknowledgement.
tip the bartenders at the bar. And we tip the valet guy parking our car. And we tip the waitress for getting our drinks and food. They don't do that. They don't do that.
Hey, there's a lot. There's some good people at that level, and I'm not here to defend them, but I want to say this: instead of taking this antagonist view about the CAWs, like, you could be Ross Perot. Not that, you know, we got to go into politics, but let me tell you something. We're going to argue and we're going to talk about all the freaking problems in the world, but there's no answers. There's no presentations. So we have to think about what are some options that we can do. And the number one option is a gut check in reality, that even if the CAWs were gone and the pools were half as big, let's say there's some way. It's like, I used to work for a disruptive media company like Napster. It was called Scour. And you couldn't stop us because video is a downloadable format that once you download it, there's no way to protect it. You really can't. You can always strip out DRM and all the stuff. So my point is, the way that the physics works, there's certain things you cannot do. You can do your best to keep them out of the game. They'll find a way to creep back in or whatever. So let's accept the necessary evil. We need laws. We need signals. We need hospitals. We need police officers. We need a lot of stuff. And I'm big into personal freedom, big into individual freedom, and not relying on anybody in the government. But I will say, like, I'm not trying to sound political. That sounds kind of cringe, but I'm just saying we must think of a way to grow the game. If the game grows that and adds new players, one would say, oh, the CAWs are just going to cut them off at the knees. Well, there might be some truth to that. So we have to acknowledge that. We either have to have more horses in races. If there's 9 horses in a race, there'll be better odds, better betting. So that's the first thing, is there needs to be more competitive races. If that means we need to move to 2 days of racing a week, like, how do you feel about something like that? What if we just race on Saturdays and Sundays only?
There's too much racing in general, and it's going to happen. And that's the way there's not enough horses anyway to support what we're doing right now. So we're going to see that shift naturally. So yeah, I mean, that's going to happen. But, you know, the way you beat them is on races like the Kentucky Derby, because their cute little computer systems can't pick a winner.
Well,
as good as they think they are, and all their little cute edges that they have when it comes to a big turf race or the Kentucky Derby, they have no edge because they're not good handicappers. They're not handicappers. They use algos. They're algo nerds. No. Did Tony Zoo have the winner? I love Tony. Tony's brilliant. I guarantee you he didn't have the Kentucky Derby winner. I guarantee it. Tony, where's your cute computer? Where's your little cute computer, Tony? You didn't have the winner because you can't handicap horses. You have to use computers and algos. These CAWs are rats. They didn't have the winner. They didn't have Cherie winning. Guess who did?
This guy.
Hoop at it. Hoop at it.
This guy.
But you can't, you know, you're right, though. In the smaller 6-7 horse fields. Because what now? As retail players, I catch myself doing it. And Christian, I hate it. I hate it. I look at Gulfstream, I look at Oaklawn and blah, 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 and you'll be handicapped and you'll say, okay, I like this horse, okay. You look at value, or where's he going to go off? And what do you do immediately now? You go to the pick 3 will pays, and you say, who's hammered in the pick 3 will pay? Boop, boop, boop. And then you look up, and those end up being your 3 favorites, and you try to get cute here and there, blah, blah, blah. But the algos and the computer systems and these CAWs, they're so smart on those shitty 7 horse races,
Yeah.
and they're so smart, and their algos are so good. But when it comes to really handicapping horses like the Derby, they suck. They could kiss my ass, and you could tell Joku. I said, you bring Joku on, I guarantee you, he didn't have the Kentucky Derby winner.
Hey, I don't know, man. He's shrewd, man.
Where you at, Joku? You come at shoot.
Joko's he's solid, dude. He's solid, dude. And I guess I want to say, when it comes to just going down your path real quick here, and we probably wrap it up semi soon, but the world you're dreaming about, this Alice in Wonderland, everybody's on birthday, whatever you want to call it, is going to have what? So somehow there's no CAWs in this pool. So where do we draw the line? If you have a certain IQ, if you have a certain number of tournament wins, where do we draw the line so that people that are smart cannot come into the pools? And it's got to be,
if they're so smart and they're so good, why can't they have an express bet account like me, or a TVG account like him, or a Twin Spires account like so, and put their bets in like human fucking beings? Why can't you put a bet in like I put a bet in? If you're so sharp and you're so fucking good, put a bet in on your express bet account that has your fucking name on it. One where you have to pay taxes if you hit something. If
they
you're
pay taxes.
so good, why don't you do that? You know why, Christian? Because they're not that good. That's the biggest secret. They're not that good. They're not. They're not.
So they do pay taxes. They pay a lot more taxes than you do. And they also, some of them give back to the industry, by the way. So there should be more panels, and they should probably step more forward and take more responsibility for what they do. There's a lot of, first of all, they have a vested interest. They want to see the game live. Some of them own horses, some of them invest in, who knows? I don't even want to speak on their behalf, but I know some of them help with aftercare. So it's not a black and white world, number one, but they do have the ability to play like you do on a phone in certain circumstances, right? But do you tell the people that are running your mutual fund to click on their keyboards to make their trades and to do their stuff? Because that's the way it should be, that there should be no massive AI, like machine learning teams that are going to be managing your family's future, or your, your friends, holdings or whatever. It's just, we just have to accept that there's more that can be done, but instead of just bickering about it, we have to start presenting options to grow the game. And that's why I say to you, yes, we kind of agree. You think it's inevitable. Maybe we should start getting ahead of the curve, and maybe we should only race on the weekends, and maybe we should rethink about, unfortunately, that's going to hurt a lot of the jobs and some of the people that are there, and some of the trainers are going to have to, there's not going to be enough people, not enough trainers. They're going to be able to pay their bills and live their lives. And so maybe the number of trainers is going to have to go down, and maybe the number of owners is going to have to go down. And yeah, we don't want the Chads and the Bobs owning or training all the horses, but there's a reason that Walmart, like if I'm in San Diego, and if you walk down in some of the main districts that had tons of shops, there's a lot of empty, buildings. So like evolution, and especially with AI coming and taking jobs, like this is just, the evolution of everything, man. So I just want us to think constructively, so I get your rage. You're not wrong. You're a smart dude. You know a lot of stuff. You know everybody in horse racing, but like start having your conversations and say like, what can we do? Like, what can we do? Now the 2-minute thing is something that's kind of worked.
Fixed odds is the easiest answer ever.
What is?
Fixed odds is the easiest answer ever. It's
the
easiest one.
But like I said, you're going to be limited, and you're going to be cut off as soon as you win. And then
Again,
you're going to be mad about that.
Monmouth Park has had fixed odds for 5-6 years. I don't know one person that's been cut off.
Well, do you know people that win? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, but then again, you're not allowed to bet 20 grand on a horse. I get it, but the average retail player is not betting 20,000 to win on a horse.
I am all about fixed odds. There's a place for fixed odds. I literally went state to state trying to legalize.
It's the easiest answer. It's the easiest one that's at their doorstep, and they say no to it, and they say no to it because the CAWs do not want it. They want that money in the pools.
No, that's not true. No, 100%. That's false. That's false. No. I think I get your frustration. It's not that cut and dry, and we maybe I'll have to try to find someone on the CAW that can speak either on behalf of them or somebody else to make this more, interesting. And, I'm actually going to be speaking at some point later in the year on a panel, but I want you to think also about the impact again. So like, there's like, I don't think you're married. I'm not married, but you hear about the guys that say, hey, pick your battles with your wife, with your spouse. So if it's only, let's say 12 races at Keeneland, which is high, where there's odds drops, 12 races.
But they've watered down the entire pools.
Okay, so those are two separate
Exacta,
points.
trifecta.
Okay, so
They've
those are
watered it down.
okay.
I'm
So
not even so as a horse player, to be honest with you, I was pissed off that the Japanese horse got knocked down, but I still won money. And at the end of the day, I was like, all right, I didn't win as much. Okay. But it's the pure just watering down of the pools that is what's taken the average horse player to walk away from the game right now. Because again, you used to be able to hit 2 exactas over a 9 or 10 race card, and you'd either be even or up.
Yeah.
You can't hit 2 exactas on the course of a day and be up.
Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second.
Sure.
Give me 1 second.
He's leaving because he's got no argument, folks.
I know.
You're with me. The people are with me. The people know. Shoes. I stand up for the people. That's why people get mad at me. And that's what. Hey.
Well, I'm trying to figure out, like, are you more like Cool Hand Luke? Are you more like McMurdy from like the One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest? Like, I'm trying to like
for the people. For the people, I want to fight for the average horse player. The average horse player doesn't have the advantages that CAWs have. And they're struggling and they're walking away. And that's what you hate to see. You hate to see horse players walk away from the sport.
Okay, so real quick here, and I like to do the granular, like the details of the impact. How many horse players do you think can win at horse racing? If, let's say, not right now, we know that, let's just say it's close to 0. Let's talk, I'm talking about retail players. Let's talk about in a world where there's no CAWs, which is this Alice in Wonderland, you're happy on birthday to you and all your friends, and maybe you're on something or not. My point is, in that world, how many of them are going to be profitable to the point where they're going to earn more than, the market? Like, how many of them
with takeout rates the way they are, it's probably close to 8%.
Okay. So 8%. So that's maybe a high number, but let's use that. So 8%. So 1 out of 10 or something is going to be profitable.
All right.
Now, so what we're saying is 90% or 92% of the players, 92 out of 100, nothing's going to change. Nothing.
I disagree. I disagree because you can still have, you can be a loser, and you can be the 92% or 90% of people that lose on horses, and you can lose a certain allocation of your funds. Let's say if you bet, I don't know.
So they're losing less. So you're saying they're losing a lot less.
That's the problem. That is the problem. You don't have to necessarily be a winner. If at the end of the year, a lot of horse players looked at their account and said, "Ooh, I lost $2,500 playing horses last year." I'm sure a lot of people will be like, "That's actually not bad. I had a lot of fun. I went to Saratoga. I went to Monmouth. I went to the Breeders' Cup, and I only lost $2,500 the whole year." I think a lot of people could live with that. Yeah. The problem is they're losing more than what they should be.
Well, we know
that's the problem.
We know the problem because the game has not grown, and that when you have a takeout versus a 5% takeout in, sports betting, poker, other forms of gambling, and you're 3x that, you're already behind a huge. So you have to So number one, you can't be that price sensitive. And number two, you have to be a little foolish to spend the time to learn the game. And then you have to be foolish to play it and think you're going to beat it. And then you have to invest money in actually like cracking the codes.
It's gambling, right?
And
it's
then
gambling.
And then you got to be patient, and then you got to be ultra patient. Like, I was telling you, like, I bet, so much less money in the last 2 years than ever before. And it hurts. And that's why I want to get out there. I'm like, we got to do something. We got to have conversations in the public. We need to get more serious horse players that treat this as a business in conversation, because most people treat it as a hobby. And there's a certain customer base that's cool with that. And whether they lose, like maybe at your rate, you're saying that they're losing, twice as much as they should if there's no CAWs. But again, I'm going back to, there's laws, there's rules, there's things that we must, there's this thing called gravity. There's certain physics in life, in economics, and same with I was telling you about the digital media stuff. When the recording industry wanted to shut us down and sue us for billions of dollars, what are they going to do? There's this thing called the Pirate Bay. There's torrent sites. There's illegal people sharing of video and music all over the world. You're never going to shut it down. You got to make an experience that's better than being a pirate. And that's what's happening. Is in the old days, people used to use bookmakers, right? And they're not using bookmakers as more. And so maybe some players are going to start using bookmakers off illegally to get better odds, right? There's that option, but you still are not addressing the problem. Horsemen need to be paid. The industry needs to grow. There needs to be new customers, and there's no new customers. So it starts with new customers. And if that can be like one of the pillars, I think that there'd be a lot less complaining. And if we can shrink the number of race days and have more horses in the races, then your payouts are going to be much better, so that you could be a weekend warrior and potentially not, get sucked in. And who's betting on horses during the week anyway? The cards are so bad.
I'll put it this way. The second you walk in a casino, you're a loser, right?
Yeah.
Most people.
Yeah, for sure.
Second you go to play a slot, you're a loser.
Unless your name is Brett Wiener. He's got that down. Serious.
God bless Brett. But if you're sitting down and you're getting your drinks and your girlfriend's ordering a martini and you're playing the slots, you're having fun. And most likely at the end of the night, you're not going to win money. Maybe you get lucky and you hit a few for a good one. Great. Yeah. Then you go out to a nice dinner, you get something for your girlfriend, whatever. Great. But now, as people are going in the casino and you're playing slots and you're sitting there and you're drinking your drink and you're having fun and you're hitting the machine, and you're losing, and the guy next to you is hitting the button and he can stop the reel at a certain time and he's getting lucky and he's making money. That's almost like the comparison I want to draw to the CAWs. We're not playing the same game. He's got some advantage where he can hit the reel and stop it when he wants to. Does he always win? No. But he's got some advantage where he can do that and I can't on my slot machine. You think that's fair?
First of all, do you know that I think Jelko and some of these guys, that's how they started their whole like business, was they went into some of the casinos.
On slots?
No, they were able to, they could tell where the ball was being released in the roulette wheels, and they
Stop.
could. I'm not kidding.
Really?
Oh yeah. They had to change the technology, decades ago, because these guys could. There was games where they would find flaws in the structure, or the way that the game was built physically, right, to find out ways to drop balls down slots and pachinko machines, and that's real speak. And then there's I think I was telling you a story on another podcast where we were talking about a guy I know, who I won't say his name, but he goes around traveling casino to casino to find dealers who show cards on accident, and he finds out, when because it's illegal to do that, and he finds them, and then he goes in and sends a team every day for a week until they get fired. Straight up. And this is the thing. And that's kind of gangster cool, but it's also, it's illegal, but that's the thing, is everybody's looking for edges. So
you're admitting CAWs are illegal. You're admitting that right now. You're saying they're illegal.
I'm not. I'm taking the fifth on what they do. I'm saying, let's acknowledge the fact that the pools would be 40% smaller if they didn't exist. So you would not be able to get as much money down. Number one. Number two, they've invested millions and they're really good at this. And yes, there was a B slap right in everyone's face on Derby Day to say, "Who's your daddy?"
Yeah.
So
that was wild. You're right. I mean, that was wild.
That was the biggest statement in horse racing from a horse player or a team ever. And so that's the thing, because that's literally them saying, "What are you going to do about it?" Right?
Nothing. On your knees, CDI.
And it's like you said, it's maybe 15 to 20K to them, but at the same time, it's not I go back to the impact. This isn't impacting as much as often as people think. But then I'm going to go another step further and say these horse players aren't going to be winning at horse racing anyway. Everybody is losing. right? So if everyone's losing, what's the difference if they lose, well, 30% versus 50% is a lot, and 20% versus 30%, not so much, but 10%. So the idea is to try to get the jump from them losing only to maybe 10 to 15% and making it more like paying for entertainment than losing 30%. Because the problem too is the young guys that are coming up in the game that might have been able to make money on horse racing decades ago, they can't do that anymore. You can't make money because you have to bet. Well, you can, but you have to bet too much when you're too young and all that, and you're going to have to lose for a few years to work out all the math. And so the obvious horses that you would make money on using common sense logic are no longer available. So you can't make money using common sense. And that's the problem, because when you try to teach people horse racing and you try to say, oh, this horse is going to be on the front and it's going to be a slow pace, if you think you're the only one that's going to predict that and that you're getting 7-1 on that, no, you're not playing this to be profitable. And so that's the problem, is the real shrewd players like Tony and Vic and so many other people out there, Brett, like, it's nuanced. And that's the thing, is nuance is an acquired taste that no one wants to work out their palate, man. And so that's why we have to have alternatives. There needs to be more in this game beyond the obvious, beyond the traditional betting. And I don't have all the answers.
Agreed.
But
I agree with you.
So let's agree that no matter what happens, we do want fixed odds at some point. So we should push for that. It's going to be limited and we're going to get kicked out. Number 1 and number 2, it sucks, but that's a reality. So that should happen to give these smaller guys an opportunity to not have this weird, throw up in their mouth syndrome when they thought they were getting twice the odds. So that's one thing. But the traditional horse players that are complaining the most about this are not those retail players. They're like the Andy Asaros and the, Chris Larmies and the guys that did well in the KDBC, but they should have gotten paid more and they didn't. So like they are still going to feel the heat in the CAW world because it's a necessary evil. And like, we can throttle it, or we can come up with some way to maybe, like limit the size of the bets, that go in at the end. But again, there's always a workaround. And that's the worst part about it, is like, you really can't slow it down too much. So I think that we're, we basically, it was a moment. It was a V for Vendetta moment right there. Like this was meant to stick a finger to the industry, not even the horse players. It was just like, what are you going to do about it? And I don't imagine
pretty soon they're going to be just betting against themselves and they're going to just destroy the game. That's the sad reality.
Well, the game is already,
they're greedy, fucking selfish assholes.
No. Don't say that.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
Well, they're
it's going to be computer wars and just going to have computer teams gambling against each other.
Yeah, that's already happening. That's what do you think the stock market is? You think the average day trader has a shot to make money in the market? Same thing. No. Same thing. So if you're not doing things, at that level, and having the sophistication, but there needs to be more. So let's go back and we'll wrap it up because it's been 2 hours. So one thing is the tools that are available to the average player, like that needs to change too. There needs to be better tools. Now, I don't think people are going to necessarily bet last second and bet all these things, but there needs to be like discipline. There needs to be ways for people to know their strengths and weaknesses. And they need to have, I think, some other mechanism, some other vehicle to be able to make their decisions. And I know the data sets are out there and these guys.
Besides buyer speed figures.
I mean, I know that you're looking to invest in buyers and maybe, aren't you going to join and be one of their spokespeople?
It's the easiest way to make money in this game is to fade buyer speed figures. It's the easiest way.
You're exactly right, though. That's the whole point. That's actually why they're not a bad thing. Yeah.
Well, I know, but it's like you're deceiving people. I still can't agree with the business model, but yes, I mean, it's the number one way to make money in this sport is to fade buyers.
It's fading the obvious, right? So the idea of anything that's obvious. That's why, to me, the 3 favorites in the Derby were 10% tops. And it's like, And that's why the Derby became interesting. But I still couldn't get there because I thought Golden Tempo had a 5% chance, and that's not enough for me to swing. But it was I respect, especially Ed Dickey, who literally put 3,000 and won the KDBC on that. And that's the kind of stones it takes. I wasn't convicted enough to bet a 5% wager scenario to win the whole thing. But maybe he had the horse at 8%, and so maybe he's better at predicting that. But let's anything else that you wanted to say about the whole Derby experience when you're out there? And
it was fantastic. Churchill Downs does a great job. The entertainment,
Yeah.
the food, the booze, everything was top notch. People are outstanding at Churchill.
Well,
The horsemen and women just put on a show for us, which was fantastic. I don't think we had any breakdowns or any issues, which was great. Cherie, just a spectacular representative for the sport today on the Today Show. She was excellent. I know she's doing her media tour and going all over the place, but just a really great story for the female trainers and just for the sport in general. Just to have Cherie win, it was really, really freaking cool. So it was a great day for racing. I mean, the viewership was incredible. It was a great spotlight on the sport. Overall, it was A pluses all around. We had lunch with Travis Stone yesterday. His race call was fantastic. He's a great dude. No, it was fantastic, but we need more of that and less of the mediocre to bad days. And if we can do that and celebrate these big days and get more people involved in the sport and get, hook the average gambler to come over and bet on the ponies, it'll be good for the long term. But just a fantastic weekend for horse racing overall.
I think you said it best, man. That's what racing was. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's how it was all the time. And I think like that's why I went out there this year too. I brought a buddy who'd never been, and I think it was all that. And I give, they even had vegan empanadas and vegan noodles for me, so I actually got to eat something. Shocking. I always try to encourage everyone to eat their vegetables and drink their kombucha, but yeah, what else are you gonna say? Overall, like just really grateful that they, I will say the music though, bro, like what are they doing in between races, blasting like cheesy pop music? It's like
I love the music. Forget putting the announcers on and listen, I love so much of the talent in this sport, and they're very great people and they're good at what they do. But how many times can you tell me a horse can win? How many times can you tell me how a horse can lose? Just play music and entertain people. My God. I tell Stacy at Gulfstream, they should have oldies day on Sundays or something and just play music, because nobody cares. There's 8,000 opinions. This horse going to win. They're wrong 95% of the time anyway. Like, it's just too much. Play music. Less time in between races and play music. Entertain people.
I miss the Del Mar concerts. Like, I'm still bummed that they
entertain people. I mean, come on. The CAWs are promoting their bets on computers anyway. Who cares about them? Play music for the people that are there. Let us have fun.
Yeah, well, I mean, to me, fun is winning. So it's like that's all that matters. But I like competition, and I that's why I like these tournaments. But let me say, we got about almost 1,000 people watching this, and I appreciate everyone for giving us their time. Time matters, to both sides. So thanks for hearing us out. We obviously are two different people, and we come from different backgrounds, and it's really fun to challenge. So we're going to try and create more dialogues, more think tanks around this, because we need a lot of thinkers to come forward and start thinking about what are some other things that we can do, because the CAWs aren't going away. Fixed odds is kind of slowly trickling in. We need some more support. So if you literally are watching this, subscribe, because if you subscribe and we have more momentum, we'll do more shows, and we're going to get the ability to reach, some of the bigger executives, and we're going to be able to have like a platform to actually stand for some stuff. And we do want to mobilize the community. We want to mobilize the horse players. Yeah, the hobby horse players like that do want to listen to music at Churchill, which drives me nuts, or the people that want to actually like try to win, and the people that are just starting out, because I'm going to start talking to some other gamblers and other realms, and talk to them about racing and find out where they get stuck and how they do what they do to try to like nurture them and thinking about this game. But the takeout is so freaking high that you got to have stones and money and time and energy and patience to come into this. And that's it's a lot to ask, but I feel like if we can all, band together and put together some thoughts as a group, I think we might be able to, influence some people. So thanks for tuning in. And Shu, you're always a riot. I think you probably got at least 20 F-bombs in this one, and I think 3 of them were targeted at the White Wizard, but I'm not surprised. So it's par for the course, but you gotta say your truth. And I really appreciate what you said about everything, Shu. So definitely, take all that energy and like put it into a ball and like knit that thing, and let's figure out some ideas, bro.
Let's do it.
And
That's what we're here for.
Turn around. But all right, brother. Well, peace out. Let's have a good week. Let's hopefully see this horse come in the Preakness if they feel like the horse is ready, and let's beat the horse in the Belmont.
Absolutely, brother. Thanks. Always fun. Thanks for tuning in, everybody.
Yeah.
Peace
Thanks,
out.
everyone. Yeah. Bye.